As Tupac once said, I see no changes. For the Guardians, there have been no changes. Are they going to go through changes? We don't know. But you're here, so we're here. We're going to talk about it because we are all suckers.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the show. I hope you enjoyed the cold open. Our other option was just me sobbing silently, and Justin overruled me just sobbing for 5 minutes. It's going to be a 5-minute cold open of me sobbing into my hands. I want to thank you for making Locked On Garden your first one. I want to thank you for listening. Listen, our numbers.
Just here so we don't get fined.
You're
here because you choose. Well,
choose to be.
You choose to be here, so we appreciate
that.
But
we appreciate that because it's not very fun right now. We're going to make it fun as much as we can. But it's
just scream into the void. That's all. If you just want to hit pause on the podcast real quick, just like pinch yourself to make sure this is real, and like just let out a very loud primal scream. Go ahead, feel free. Just come back after you hit the pause button.
As we were preparing this, I was like, hey, that's 2 games in a row where Andres Jimenez had hits, and Justin just kind of gave me like a death stare. Like, why does that matter? Nothing matters. Life is meaningless.
Matter.
Life is meaningless. It was just
doesn't matter.
I could just see the absolute sadness and depression in his eyes in those moments. We want to thank you for making Locked On Guardians your first listen. You have a lot of things to listen to, and
thanks for coming back.
Yeah. Our numbers are, I will be honest, are hurting a little because this team is a mix of infuriating and not fun, which is everyone's favorite combination. It's like dealing with politics, infuriating and not fun. The Cleveland Guardians. There you go. This team is not good at baseball. I mean, close it up. Hit that end screen. We're done.
Go Guardians. Go. Try. Yeah, no. I do want to before we actually talk about this, I do want to do some vertical teasing. Tomorrow's show will be fun. We're gonna get into the minors. We got some great stuff on some college guys too. There's someone from the Akron area who's a draft eligible guy that I kind of just backburnered because I thought he was a reliever only, and I don't think that's the case after we studied him. And Justin and I have some good tendency data as well to go against. Like Keith Law put out a mock, and I appreciate Keith, and I sent Justin a little thing in the comments where Keith's 3 most underrated college hitters are my 3 most underrated college. I'm like, Keith must be a listener, even though I know he isn't. But his comments on the Guardians I thought were short-sighted, so we'll get into that tomorrow. So that's a nice little verb. Tomorrow,
my old co-host is also joining us.
Tomorrow will be the fun episode. Today is another day of therapy for all of us, and you know what? At this point, it is getting worse before it gets better. I don't know. You keep saying like it's going to get worse before it gets better. I don't know how it can get worse than this. I mean, we're not even at Memorial Day, and there just isn't any really good signs. Like it's the same. I think I saw.
Haven't been 7 games under 500 since 2015.
Yeah, first time in 8 years they're on the worst pace ever. I think I saw somewhere that they are on pace for 68 wins. So all the people that we told to bet the over on for the Guardians wins this year, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. Jeff is team injury, and we are apparently team can't gamble for anything. Worst they've been since 2015. And you want to know what? That 2015 team was bad. They were a bad team. This is a bad team too. I mean, it's just the only difference between 2015 and now is they're young, and we are just praying that some of the lumps they're taking right now, the swelling goes down. I don't really know how to get out of that analogy.
And the funny thing is to go back is, again, to put the other turn on it, that 2015 year was bad. That 2015 draft at the top, or 2016 draft based on the year, might have been the worst I've ever covered. That is guys like Corey Ray in the top 5, who I don't even think got up to AAA. So Riley Pint finally got to the big leagues from that one. So, it's kind of fun. That was actually of course, 2016 draft made Cleveland. So in spite of that bad 2015 year.
Well, next year's draft's looking pretty good. So at some point, you and I are going to be talking about next year's draft. I think the way things are going.
Yeah, no, it's very nice at the top. Hey, Cleveland, where I haven't looked at the Tankathon.
We are the draft capital of the world, right?
So I haven't bothered to do this like ever with the Major League Baseball because this team has never really been there. But I'm gonna go look at the MLB one, see if they already have that up and running. Cleveland is currently picking 7th, by the way. 7th in next year's. If it happened today, they are tied with Colorado for they have the same record as Colorado and Cincinnati.
That would be their highest pick since 2013.
And the Washington Nationals. All those teams are 21-28. Cleveland could pick as high as 4th right now if the season ended today, based on like some of that stuff. They're the same.
So that would have been. They haven't picked that high since what?
Clint Frazier.
Frazier was what, 5th overall? That was 2013.
Yes.
Wow, it's been a long time. Yeah, and there's a lot of things to kind of swirl around on that topic. So.
But yeah, for as much as we sit back and want to talk about the positive, it's also you have to point out that, like, again, this team is sitting here at the end of May with a top 5 potential draft pick for next year. Like, you're expecting to recover and make the play? No, you're not. Like at that point in time.
Well, I don't know. What was it? The Washington Nationals that one year were pretty bad. The Cardinals, who we're going to talk about in the third segment today, have been bad this year. The only difference is that is a talented veteran team with proven track records. This team doesn't have a whole lot of that. Again, I don't even know if we're talking about the game today. Like, do you really want us to talk about the game? Cal Quantrill imploded in the 4th inning, so that was great. I mean, things were going pretty well. I wouldn't say great, but they were going okay. In the 5th inning, the wheels came off and he stunk, and at least the defense didn't let him down. It was all him. Like, it was all on Cal Quantrill out there today. He walked guys. He gave up hits. The bottom of the White Sox order. I mean, Clint Frazier and Romy Gonzalez for the second straight day burned them. That's amazing. It's so hilarious that this series, Clint Frazier has played very well against the Guardians. And then Romy Gonzalez, who has been terrible all year. I've seen White Sox fans, including our own Locked On White Sox host, complaining all year about how all offseason everybody raved about Romy Gonzalez and how good he was going to be and don't trade this guy. And then he's been terrible all year. And guess what? When you face the Guardians, they cure all your ails. Michael Kopech was coming off a good start against the Royals, who are also anemic. And he came out against the Guardians and was just as good. So all of a sudden, his season has turned around because he's faced some of his AL Central mates who all stink. So you want to turn your season around? Face the Guardians. That's the Cardinals have already turned their season around from how bad they were, and boy, it's going to get better for the Cardinals this weekend, I'm guessing. So there's your look forward to the weekend. The Cardinals are coming to town. They stunk. They got better. They're going to continue to get better. Nice show, Jeff. See you later.
And so we can add this to our draft history stuff. For those who are curious, the last time this team did pick 4th, 1984, Corey Snyder.
It turned out okay. As long as you don't include the Sports Illustrated cover.
Well, I mean, he wasn't even worth one win for his career. Over 1,000 games, 0.7 WAR.
Wow.
After him, Jay Bell, Mark McGuire, Shane Mack, Oddibe McDowell, and Scott Bankhead and Terry Mulholland all got 10 WAR or more. So yeah.
Hey, Terry Mulholland eventually pitched for the Guardians.
And Jay Bell was in their minors. I don't know how they. Trying to remember. I should probably know was that like the Sutcliffe trade or something that brought him there to Cleveland before he got shipped out. Like, I just remember as a child. No, the Bert By-Levin trade. That was it. I just remember as a kid, Jay Bell being traded was one of those trades that my dad complained about.
A couple years later,
use another word, but that was one of those, like, he would have been ideal in the 90s, and we gave him away. We gave him away for nothing. Denny Gonzalez.
Yeah. So I know people are kind of like, this is what I have a hard time dealing with. Like, people have asked Tito. I know Zach asked them today at the press conference, like, are you being tested to not make changes? And he said, we're all being tested. And he really didn't respond to the whole changes thing. We're going to get into the changes thing of it.
When you're older, change. I mean, no one likes change, but it gets harder as you get older, is what I've seen with my parents as they get older. And hey, Tito is nearing the end of the retirement of the baseball career. So change is hard for him.
Yeah. It's just like all the things we I'm going to say this. So I'm having a hard time finding words today, which is great for hosting a podcast. There's a lot of things I struggle with. Like, there's a lot of people getting upset at Tito, who, even though every manager has their flaws, every fan base, managers draw the ire of all their fans for certain decisions they make, because nobody's ever perfect, and people love to second guess, and that's fine. That's why you watch
baseball. Is very hard to say exactly what a manager does and their true depth of value and what they do.
So we're talking about changes, and just going to kind of address some of the things about going about changes and managing people and all that fun stuff in just a second, if you continue to stick with us.
I'm wearing my Birddogs. No, I'm not going to stand up. We haven't gotten quite to that point. I was wearing them around school. General recommendation, I like them. I'm not good at getting a good tight tie, so you still might want to wear a belt with them just to help keep them up. But they're comfortable. I wore them all day. My only knock was it ended up turning freezing here today, and I had to spend some time outside, and that was not ideal. But they felt comfortable. They felt good. Actually, that extra lining gives you some fun insulation. They are comfortable. They are all purpose. I felt perfectly fine wearing them around as I taught all day, even though they're, a very light, cushy fabric. It's like they're great. The best shorts I own. Go to Birddogs today. And, I also walk around with the little thermos they give us, but, let me do the official CTA. Go to Birddogs/LockedOn, and when you enter the promo code LockedOnMLB, they'll throw in the free custom Birddogs Eddie style tumbler with every order. They're great shorts. Check them out for yourself.
The Guardians are off Thursday, but Friday you can check out SiriusXM with Tom Hamilton and Jim Rosenhaus with the Cardinals and Guardians, 7:10 first pitch on Friday. We'll get into the Cardinals matchup here towards the end of the show. Okay, so here's what I was trying to say before the break. I feel like, so we've addressed this before. Like most of what a manager does, good wise. Is that even the right word? Good wise.
I know what you meant.
Me so good at English today.
You very good. You're very good at English.
Yes,
it's like Guardians very good at
a lot of what
Guardians very good hitting. Guardians very good hitting.
No. Now you're lost. A lot of what good managers do, and Tito is what's behind the scenes, right? It's stuff we can't quantify. It's managing people.
Yes.
And that's what this is at the end of the day. Like, we can scream and shout all we want about put this guy in the lineup, don't pitch this guy, move this guy around. And the reality of it is, and I'm not saying that, people aren't wrong that some changes need to take place. I'm not saying that at all. And I think people are entitled to that opinion because they invest their time and money and emotions into this team. And right now they are being let down. But at the end of the day, he's managing people. He's managing a clubhouse, and that does matter. And all the stuff that we enjoyed about
they're trapped by how much that people like Ahmed. Like if he was just a fly on the wall, he'd be gone.
Right? It's a clubhouse thing. He's respected in the clubhouse, and he's Jose Ramirez's best friend right now, and all that stuff. So that unfortunately factors into it. And I will say, from the one standpoint, is like all the guys that are playing right now, and Gabby Arias is getting more runs, so that's a step in the right direction because he's one of the few guys who has played well. That's one thing, but the guys they have in the lineup right now, and then you have to factor in catcher and Bell for the changes. And by the way, Owen Miller is having a great season in Milwaukee, just to pour salt in the wound.
But he had a great season if they're have May of a year ago. So let's just hold on.
But if they are going to win this year, if they are going to turn it around, they have to do it with the guys that are there right now. Like, I think we can all say, like, maybe if they played Rocchio or Freeman, it wouldn't do any worse than Ahmed. Is there any guarantee they'd be as good? Probably defensively, yes, they'd be as good or better. I mean, Freeman would be as good as Rosario defensively, and Rocchio is probably an improvement. But I mean, for the majority of this, the guys they have in the lineup right now, they have to turn things around with. And I think there is still an element of they have to try to win with the roster they have as long as they can until they can't anymore. And that's the hard part of this discussion, is when do changes need to occur? Because, you were saying before we started recording, they're 25% of the way in the season, or 30% of the way in the season. So it's more than a quarter when you look at guys' plate appearances. Some guys are starting to get to the 200 plate appearance threshold or close to it. That's 30% of a way if you get 500 plate appearances or so. So, like, how long do you stick with guys? Like, last year at this time, Rosario had already kind of gotten back to his normal levels. He was starting to break out, have some 3-hit games, things like that.
He had the exact same weighted runs created plus through May a year ago. But
there you go. So, but you can't. I know we can't say you can't expect them to do.
But it's lower than his career totals for me. But it is.
So you can't expect them to continue to go back to last year and things for to turn around. But like people are frustrated with, he won't make changes. And again, I'm not saying that those guys don't deserve to play or you don't deserve to ask for that. But it's like everyone's like, the game has passed him by. He needs to retire. And yeah, there are some decisions that you're like, why? It looks like he's starting to bring Karinchak in during mop-up time instead of crunch time. We saw that on after the Mets implosion, after the home run.
He seems to be pitching better during those times. Like, if nothing else, help build his confidence back that way. Like, put him in situations.
Yeah. So, like, it's some minor steps, but like the things we all enjoyed about this team last year was traits. Yeah, the thing we all enjoyed about this team last year was they were a good gelled group. They played fundamentally strong. They played the game the right way. They were young and everybody didn't think they could do it. And they were underdogs. Now they're not underdogs, and they've kind of lost that edge. They're not
fundamentally sound anymore.
Yeah, and I agree with you that part of that's on coaching. You've got to kick them in the butt. And I know he talked after the Mets series saying, we have to do this together. We have, we are a good team. We need to play like one. The stupid fake Billy Bean quote from Moneyball. You don't look like a good team, but you are one. Start playing with it. That stupid stuff. Like,
I wonder if there's a point though, which happens with all managers and all sports, if like you get tuned out or if like you can't have quite the same effect. And I mean, that's why he left.
These are young kids.
I know.
If they are tuning them out, that's not good.
No,
I don't think that's the case.
That's what happened with him in Boston.
Those were older guys that were. They were in the clubhouse drinking beer and eating chicken. So,
but that shows sometimes not cracking back, and it does feel like right now there isn't necessarily, that some of these guys. Listen, people have talked about conditioning issues. People have talked about some of the focus that isn't there. We're talking about the lack of fundamentals. Is it maybe too much of a free ride going on? Is that similar to the Boston thing right now, where it is, he is a player's manager? Maybe they need someone who's gonna, it doesn't have to be him, but you maybe need your bench coach to be someone who's gonna then be the bad cop.
Yeah, there is always a bad cop on every team that, at least playing youth sports, I know growing up there was always the coach you could talk to about things, and there was a coach that had to kick you in the butt. And I don't know, again, this is the stuff about behind closed doors we don't know about that's hard to quantify. And right now it doesn't seem to be working. And I think, it's always process over results. So if you think the process is good, it doesn't end well, that's, you can live with that. And right now the results aren't good, and we're questioning the process because the results are bad. And a lot of this process stuff we don't really know about. So like last year, everybody was happy about certain things. And this year, now we're questioning the process, and they might as well be doing the same things process-wise, and it's not working out. And I think a lot of this goes back to, again, it is fundamentals too, because at one-run games, it's a lot of luck winning run games, or you have a very good bullpen, and they did last year. But I think we all should have maybe seen that was unsustainable, is going 28-17 one-run games, and now they're doing it.
Was also the fundamentals, and part of the reason they could pull those out was all the fundamental things they did right that they're not doing right this year. So that also is going to shift that massively the other way.
I think for better or for worse, like we're talking, it's still not even Memorial Day yet. I just don't think that, the Gabby Arias thing, like he was already on the Major League roster, so he was going to play at some point anyway. He's just getting more run, and they sent Oscar Gonzalez down, and now everyone's mad about Freeman, and no one likes.
Well, that's Cleveland. Like how
it's backup quarterback syndrome.
Yeah, I was going to even say that it's a back. I'm 41. I've never seen a no hitter in my lifetime with this team. I've never seen a championship, obviously, but it's always the guy who doesn't play. It's this guy could be good. It's always that fourth piece, and I'm
guilty of that too, because I like prospects because it's always the unknown. The unknown hasn't disappointed you yet.
And and sometimes like we saw Owen Miller get that opportunity last year, and after May he pooped the bed. And like hopefully we'll actually see Gabby get that extended look this year, because we keep talking about Gabby as he's looking good, this or that. He's third on this team in slugging percentage for a team that desperately needs power. He's got a higher slugging percentage than Josh Bell. I think it's Jose and Naylor are the only ones higher. On top of that, he walks. What's this team need? More walks. And let's face it, you put him at shortstop, he's probably worth 2 wins alone in your defensive upgrade there. So we're going to maybe talk about some ways to improve the team, but I think Gabby, if you want to look for a positive, and that's going to be my role today. Hey, Andres Jimenez, back-to-back multi-hit games. Maybe he's coming out of his funk. Gabby Arias is showing that he's a major league player on some level. This isn't like, listen, I was a big Yu Cheng guy, and I'm going to risk Hiram coming after me for this, but like, I thought I had him as a top 5 prospect in the system, but he didn't have the defense Gabby has. He didn't have the speed. He didn't have the general athleticism. The walk rate was solid. There was some similarities if one wants to do that, but like, it's nice to see the beginnings of change. But part of the problem with why there is such a backup is it kind of takes so long. And like, but at the same time, the average rookie has a weighted runs created plus of 85. So when we sit there and complain about Ahmed, at the end of the year, he's 100. And that's why they stick with him, because it's better it's the old expression, the devil you know than the devil you don't. So they're the opposite of us. Like, a prospect hasn't failed us yet. Whereas when you're running a team, it's the prospect hasn't been successful yet. So,
and the guy
before we go to break,
I
just to throw out that look, I do think change is absolutely necessary, and they need to get on a few of those. And I'm sure we'll discuss that some more. I know we have all these other things up here on the side. Sometimes they get pushed for another episode when it gets heated. So we're having some fun here, but make sure to join us after the break as we'll continue talking about rotations and changes and a Cardinals team that we're hitting at the wrong time.
I don't know what the Guardians are subscribed to. Maybe they need a subscription change to analytics or anything. Maybe they're locked out of their Netflix account. I don't know what's going on over at the Corner Carnegie Ontario. I told you earlier this week I have a TV subscription that I forgot to turn off, and now I paid $90 for it, and I'm stuck with that for the rest of the month. And I'm not happy about it because it was expensive, and really the product isn't that good. But if I had remembered to check my RocketMoney app, the personal finance app would have told me it could cancel my unwanted subscription. It would monitor my spending, and it would help me lower my bills, and I wouldn't have to spend that $90 all with one app. So don't be an idiot. Stop throwing your money away. Get help canceling those unwanted subscriptions before you forget, and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/LockedOnMLB. That is rocketmoney.com/LockedOnMLB. rocketmoney.com/LockedOnMLB.
And I'll be the one to remind you that check out not tomorrow, Friday, but this weekend's game against the Cardinals, who we'll talk about in a bit. They'll have the call on Sirius XM. Just search Guardians.
Search the Guardians. Yeah. So I don't know at what point changes are going to take place. Like, how much longer can this go? Because we already said this is the worst stretch they've had in 8 years.
That's something. Like,
it is something for sure. It is something, and everyone's going to say, well, some people will say, we've said it before on the show. Every day, or we've talked about how yes, the Guardians are a better second half team under Terry Francona. I think since he's been here, their winning percentage in the second half has always been over 500, no matter what.
The anti-Manny Acta. Was it Manny Acta teams?
Yeah, 30 and 15. And let me tell you, I bought into that 30 and 15 team so hard.
I did as well.
Young Justin was so stupid. I'm still stupid, but I was really stupid back then.
I was so excited. I was so excited.
Who knew Derek Lowe would succumb to Father Time like everybody does? Who knew? Anybody could have known, but I didn't know because I was young and dumb. This is a young team. I hope they're not dumb. I don't know. I just don't know how long changes take. Like, either it's going to turn around and they're going to get better, or will they give themselves enough time to do that? Because if you get to, like, I don't know, late June, I'm not talking All-Star break, but if you get to, like, I don't know, the end of June and things don't get better, it might be too late. Because at some point you can't guarantee that the Twins are going to keep being mediocre. Like, they have a decent roster. I know they have injuries and they've underperformed, but like on paper, their roster is decent. So at some point they might start playing better. You might be burying your head in the sand.
Are playing better. Like, Lance Lynn has had 2 good starts in a row. Dylan Cease looked good this week. The White Sox might be the team to turn it around.
They're only a game behind the Guardians. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I just don't know when changes are going to take place. Like, you could put Tyler Freeman over Ahmed Rosario for right now. You could bring up Roki. You could bring up Naylor. Whatever you want to do with those things. It's hard to do right now because it is hard to sell in the clubhouse. I think I mentioned this before.
Yeah.
We have a group of guys who are well liked, but they are losing right now. So you have a group of very lovable losing players, and I'm sure they're not having fun. So it's not about lovable, but it's like, okay, great. They have great clubhouse chemistry, and Ahmed's a leader, and they like him. And people have always liked Mike Zeno along every stop. You have all that stuff going on.
Miles Straw is well loved,
yeah, but they're not winning, and it's like, no. I know you got to balance the clubhouse versus winning, and it's a harder move to sell on those things. And of course they're being nice because, like, if you bench Ahmed now, you're taking his free agent value. You don't give him a chance to rebound. Guess what? He goes in the offseason, he stinks, and you've tanked his value. But that's his fault because he hasn't played well. But it doesn't sell well in the clubhouse. That's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. This is managing people. It's not just managing games. And the first priority should be to win. But then you're also like, okay, are we going to win if the clubhouse goes sour because we make this move? It's a very hard balance, I will say. And this is why I don't get paid to do it. It's why you don't get paid to do it. It's why nobody else does. That's why guys with experience like Francona do. And that's why guys get fired at it because they stink.
One could make the case that's why you should have traded Ahmed this offseason, right? Like, so there was more time to recover and deal with this, so you're not blowing up your clubhouse in the middle of the season.
Yeah, they just assumed it was going to be all rainbows again. It was going to be the same as last year.
Ahmed, like, yes, I talked about how he's got the same weighted runs created plus as a year ago at this time, and yeah, he'll probably get hot in June, July, and August. But essentially, here's a guy who plays 3 good months a year, and on top of that, based on most metrics, might be the worst defensive shortstop in baseball. It's like he took $1 million.
The eye test matches that one, I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah, and it's he doesn't get. We can go back to the Tuesday game. Like, maybe if you have a real shortstop in there, that game doesn't get away. A change needs to happen. And I'm at this point in time, I'm kind of this point where it's like, I am okay with Gabby playing right field and Freeman at short, or I'm okay with Gabby at shortstop, and like when Valera is ready, he can come up and play right field. He'll never be healthy.
Hurt again?
No, I think he got hurt on his way to being hurt, but those 2 spots to me are where the changes are easy.
Injured on the trainer's table,
and then like honestly, again, this team is currently tied for the 4th worst record in baseball. That means Shane Bieber is getting traded this season. There is a lot of teams with pitching needs. One of the things they have to look at, when I go back to what I talked about the Mets, Bruce Batty, I think he could be more of an outfielder than Mark Venitos. I think Venitos isn't quite as athletic, but you need to get someone who can be a plug and play outfielder in that deal. Because right now, listen, I've been a Miles Straw defender. Miles Straw is what he is. He's an elite defender who is a well below average bat. Stephen Kwan, potentially unpopular opinion, but he hasn't been good this year. He has been mid at best. He has taken his runs.
Look at you being hip with the lingo. Mid.
He is being
you're
excessively mid.
20 he's 40.
He is, a 30-point drop to his runs, a 30% drop in his offensive production. And again, listen, I've got my Steam Deck over here. I love to play video games. I am a video game player. But when you're a Major League Baseball player, maybe don't brag about not working on the game and just playing video games all day, because that's going to come back to be the thing that hurts you at this point in time.
I get saying that, but this is the other thing I think.
You don't say it, though. You can do it. Just don't say it. Don't try to brag about it.
But you want to know what? If he comes out this year and he's better, or he's the same, or he looks like, oh, man, this is a guy who's playing really well, despite the pressure of, playing his second year and trying to improve, and sophomore slump, everyone's going to say it's because he didn't put too much pressure on himself. He took it easy over the offseason. So I mean, like, these things change narrative wise based on the results.
But you
don't know if I know saying it is not great, but I'm saying again,
and then you don't record videos where you insult your teammates. Like that's the
that was not
that
great.
was he's made some questionable calls. But if you're a below average bat who has no power at all, then left field, right field, center field, everyone is in pencil to me until I see otherwise. So if someone can, I don't think anyone's really. You need to put 2 good years together to have me put you in ink. And there's. Quan was special a year ago. This year, he's, again, there's been points where I've killed for a just slightly below the average bat. So I'm not looking to run him out, but I'm just saying, I think this team in particular, if they do, and right now we are on a path to trade Bieber by July, you have to get an outfielder. You have to get in your ready one. You have to get someone. And hey, maybe Quan can kick somewhere else or something like that, but you have to get an outfielder.
Yeah. So speaking of Bieber, he'll pitch on Friday against Jack Flaherty. The Cardinals, like I said, were a bad team. They were 10-18 after April. They were 12-9 in May before tonight's games. So they have turned it around. They had a 4-game winning streak at one point, which the Guardians haven't done. They had a 3-game winning streak. They just won their last 3-4 series in a row. So things have turned around for the Cardinals. And guess what? The Guardians got to face a lefty on Sunday. Super
6-4 in their last 10.
That. Yeah, that would be great for the Guardians. That would feel so good. Aaron Savali was back in Cleveland today after his rehab start on Tuesday. They're going to bab out the next 5 days, so they're not sure what the next plan for him is. But Hunter Gaddis is right now scheduled to start Sunday, so Gaddis will get one more start against the Cardinals, and then I think from there, Savali comes back. McKenzie will start on Thursday. Cody Morris threw one inning for Akron on Wednesday night and looked pretty good. So we were going to talk about rotation plans and what roster moves get made when Savali and McKenzie come back and then Morris comes back, but we didn't get to that today. So tune into that later in the week. We'll get to that topic. And as Jeff said at the top of the show, we got Around the Farm Friday coming your way on Friday, and we have the MLB draft segment of the week and then mailbag. So if you haven't submitted any mailbag questions yet on either YouTube in the comments or on Twitter, if you're watching, you can see our Twitter handles on our new fun layout, or I'm at @J_baseball and Jeff is at Jeff MLB Draft, or you can tweet at Locked Guardians on Twitter.
Yeah. Thank you for taking part. We'll get into the rotation of it all. I'm sure probably even maybe on tomorrow's show, but thank you all for listening, and go Guardians, go.